What is meaning? Today I'm going to talk about the word meaning. I'm going to talk about what the definition means of meaning. Funny joke. Here we go. Let's get right into it. And also, if you're not subscribed yet, just check if you're subscribed or not. If you're not subscribed, don't forget to click the subscribe button, and let's get right into it right now. So first, let's describe the other word. What is meaninglessness? So meaningless is a little bit easier to describe than meaning itself, as we can clearly see things that are meaningless. If you go by your day and just look at your day and look at every hour what you're doing, you can see that there are times within your day that you're doing things that are quite meaningless, that are maybe compulsive, that are patterns, maybe things that you're thinking that are not really productive, or you're procrastinating, or you're doing anything of that. And we all have it. And there's no one that has not done this, because you can even say, for example, eating a cookie. It's a small thing, but it's still meaningless because it doesn't have purpose. It doesn't have meaning to it. You're just doing it out of a pattern, out of an addiction, or maybe not even addiction, but just for pleasure. And then that's not really meaning, right? You're not really having a meaning out of pleasure. If pleasure is your meaning, you have the lowest meaning in the world, right? The lowest meaning is pleasure. It's the purpose of an animal, right? An animal might have the meaning of pleasure. That's like their meaning. Even for animals, that would be low. Like, it would be more like insects or something. Either ways, we're not gonna get into the specifics of that. We're just gonna focus on meaningless. So meaningless cycles means patterns that are meaningless, that are not leading towards anything. And you could say life is not leading anywhere because we're all gonna die. And in that sense, you could say life is meaningless. And that's true to some extent, but that doesn't mean there aren't important things. For example, just because life is meaningless doesn't mean you're gonna now act like a retard and just gonna treat everyone with disrespect, and you're not gonna treat anything as important. There are importances, very much so, in the world, in being alive, in doing things. There is definitely a difference between something being entirely meaningless and something having meaning. Because meaning, and here we come to the definition of meaning, is what is important. What is important? For example, if I'm eating food, what is important is that I eat food that can help me sustain to live. Because when I live, I can give value to the world, right? But then meaningless would be to eat, to get pleasure, and to have a food addiction and just eat tons of sugar, and that would lead to dying earlier. It doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna die from eating one cookie, but it just means that it's not a pattern that is meaningful. It's a pattern that doesn't really help anything in your life. And it feels hard because sometimes you're like, this is great, this is awesome, it gives me a little high, like I eat a bit of sugar, I get this high from this sugar. So what do you mean? It gives me energy. But energy then falls away back, and then you're just back at where you are at, or you have to eat more and you get addicted to it. So I'm not saying you can never eat sugar or you can never do anything meaningless. It's just about becoming aware of what is meaningful and meaningless. And then what would be meaningful, in other words, what would be important, would be to eat something maybe something that's good for the body, but to eat, not to fast, but to eat. Because if you would fast and fast and fast, you would die. And therefore your purpose would also die. Your purpose of being here, your purpose of living here. And therefore you can see that eating food now becomes important. Because before it was, maybe you did it for pleasure, maybe you did it just to get some, because you're bored. But now it starts to have a purpose. It's like, I need to eat food to sustain this body so that I can live my purpose. I need to move my body so that my body is healthy and that I can live my purpose and be in more energy and therefore give more. I need to spend time very wisely, because if I waste time, years pass by and all these things that could have been great memories with people, family, friends, or in your business, beautiful moments that have just gone by because you were not present, because you were too much doing meaningless stuff, too much scrolling around, too much on YouTube. That is just wasting your time, wasting your energy. So we can see all these things as food is not necessarily meaningless, but it's also not necessarily meaningful. It is just how you relate with it. Same way with relationships. You can say a relationship can be meaningless. You might have a friend or whatever that the relationship feels kind of meaningless. You're joking around. It's not really deep. You don't really feel great afterwards. It's meaningless. But sometimes that can be meaningful. Sometimes you have a moment where you have a deep conversation, or you're helping them, or you're giving value to them, and they receive it, and it's meaningful. And then something as simple as a friendship starts to have meaning. And the more you move towards meaning within your life, not just only your purpose, but in your life you lead towards meaning, you start to align more towards your purpose, because it shows you're valuing your time, you're valuing your energy, you're valuing your body, you're valuing, what a word, valuing your body, you're valuing your emotional state, right? You're not going to get into toxic fights. You're not going to be upset about things that don't matter so much. You're not going to keep resentment and not forgive people. But also, you're going to have boundaries with people so that they don't screw you over, because that also happens. So you also need to have boundaries, right? And not let people cross them. So we have all these things, all these different places in our life that seem to be having nothing to do with each other, can actually start to enhance your purpose. This is why I'm saying in other videos as well, that purpose is not so much about your purpose alone and your career path, because that's how most people see it. It's just a career path. For me, it's much more about, is your life meaningful? Besides your career, is your life meaningful? Do you spend it on meaningful things? Do you spend it on creating health for your body? To not waste money on things that don't mean anything, like wasting it on McDonald's. I couldn't think of anything more meaningless than, first of all, wasting time, wasting energy, wasting money, all these valuable resources on McDonald's. What is ruining your body? What is ruining your energy? What is ruining your thing, which you resonate with it somewhere, because somewhere you feel like it's covering up the traumas, it's covering up, the hurt that you're feeling. And therefore, living in purpose means you're gonna heal. You have to heal. Living in purpose means to let go of meaningless stuff, even though it sometimes kind of feels good. But it's kind of the wrong feeling good, you know? You have the good feeling good, and you have the wrong feeling good. Like, you know it's wrong, but it kind of therefore feels good because you're like, you're stepping over a boundary, and that feels almost rebellious in a way. Like, oh, I don't care what people think of this, so therefore I'm just gonna, you know, eat my hamburger because no one sees me here doing this. And it's just, I just feel like it's just easy, it's just tasty, it's pleasurable, but there's no meaning. So you're doing something just for the sake of pleasure. You're doing something just for the sake of maybe even greed or lust or all these sins that they talk about. They talk about sins not because of you're going to hell or whatever they teach in Christianity. That's not what they're talking about, what it's actually about. What it's actually about is meaninglessness. Because if you do something for lust, there's no purpose in it. If you do something for greed, like you buy some lottery ticket, it's completely meaningless. It's all these gambling, drugs, they all give you some state, you see? And we're addicted to these states because they escape reality instead of facing reality. They move us away from our purpose instead of towards our purpose. And that's why you see people that have had hard addictions, that had addictions to cocaine or to some drug, to alcohol, they come back from that sometimes with so much purpose because they have letting go of a huge meaningless cycle for them. Because their cycle was just that, right? It was not scrolling on the internet. It was not all these other different things that you might do, right? Because you can judge a cocaine addict and you can say, you know, he has like some bad addiction, I cannot relate with it. But I would say you very much relate to someone with a cocaine addiction because you have all these smaller addictions. You don't have one addiction like this is it, like cocaine. You have like, you know, social media, validation of other people, stupid thinking patterns, all these different meaningless cycles. That's what you have. They might only have cocaine, right? And sometimes because they let go of that whole thing, all of a sudden they start to align to their purpose. But for you, it might be all these different meaningless cycles that you have to let go of to find your purpose. Because I thought I just need to find my purpose, but what it actually was letting go of more meaningless stuff. Becoming aware, first of all, that it is meaningless, that it has no purpose, besides all the sins, lust, greed, envy, jealousy, you name it. So, what is meaning is a direction that is of value, that is important, and therefore it's also emotional. It's very emotional purpose. Meaning is very emotional because it touches at the core of why you are here. Everything else is kind of a blah. It's like, you know, sometimes you have like weeks or days that you look back on and you're like, it was just a big blur, right? But then when you look at important moments in your life, you can see those important moments were very emotional, very meaningful. They were very impactful. Maybe it was because of what someone said to you and it had such an impact on you and it touched you. Or it was something you had with your own self. A deep conversation with yourself, or a deep conversation with someone, or something that touched the core of you. And you're like, this resonates with me. This feels aligned. This doesn't feel like just another day. This doesn't feel like just another day passing by and nothing happening. This feels meaningful. This feels important. And therefore, the dramatized way of meaning would be to save the whole world, and some egoic, exaggerated way of seeing it. When I see it, touch my camera, when I see it, it's much more subtle. It's like meaning is why you're alive. If you think about, for example, your last day on this earth, it's your last day on this earth. Are you gonna waste it on watching YouTube videos? No. Are you gonna waste it on eating food? No. What you're probably gonna do is something meaningful to you. Maybe you're gonna talk to a friend and have a really deep conversation. Maybe you're gonna get and watch the sunset, and that sunset becomes so impactful. It touches you emotionally. You go listen to a song that makes you feel alive. You go around and smile to other people. You go and make people laugh. Give a joke. Be present in the moment. Enjoying your life as long as it lasts, because you know this is my last day. But the thing is, you don't know if it's your last day. And you don't treat it like it's your last day. You treat it like you have 1,000 years more, and you're just waiting for time to pass by, for something to happen. Instead of treating this day as your last. Because once you start to treat your day as the last one, you start to see this is really important. Time is passing by. And if I don't treat that with importance, if I don't make this time mean anything, but instead waste it, instead be in meaningless cycles, just like the person addicted to cocaine, just these meaningless cycles. You wouldn't ever do that once it was your last day here. And therefore I'm saying to you, why are you treating your life like you have 1,000 years more to live? Treat this life with importance. Treat this life with purpose. Because the meaning of meaning is personal to you. I cannot make you emotional about my meaning because it's emotional to me. But you have your own meaning. You have your own reason to breathe, to be here, to be alive. You have your own purpose. And it might be to look at a sunset in tears or have a deep conversation. I'm not saying you have to do that every day, but you just get the sense of it, of what that means. It means impact, both on yourself and also on others, right? Making others smile, making others laugh, making other people feel loved. All of these are important. They might not be the meaning of life, but they are important to us. And therefore, what is the meaning of life is a completely weird question actually to ask, because it's like, life is not personal. Your life is personal. The reason that you are here is personal to you. Therefore, meaning is personal. It is not something generic as what is the meaning of life, because that will be completely impersonal. It could not be something just for you. It has to be about everything. But for you, there's a specific importance of being here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Otherwise, you would have ended this life already. It is because there is something important here. And it might be something small at first. It might just be your family. It might just be a friend. It might just be some music. It might just be something little. But just lean into that. Because once you start to lean into that, it starts to become bigger. And it starts to move you. It starts to move your life. And even when I'm talking about this, I get a little emotional because I can just feel the importance of meaning. And meaning is important. It's this whole thing that nobody stands still by. Nobody even thinks about this. They're too busy surviving and competing with others and trying to win and trying to make it work. And that's all fine, that's all good, that's also part of the game. I'm not saying don't do any of that. But sometimes you also have to stop all the noise and just feel like, what resonates with me? What of value do I want to bring to the world? What kind of value do I want to bring to others? What is important to me? And in the little things and in the big things. In your career, but also in your relationships. Also in all the other areas. I see someone saying that they live their purpose, but they treat other people not in a way that feels important. They treat them with disrespect or whatever. I'm like, you're not living your purpose then. You're just doing something for a career path was completely different than living a meaningful life. Anyways, I want to end this video. I hope this touched you. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. And I see you in the next video.